you're the one that's driving the wagon, right? And so if you fall off the wagon, don't be like, oh no, I fell off the wagon. I'm going to run 3 miles backwards because I'm so mad. It's like the wagon's right there. Just get back on the wagon.
Welcome to In Moderation,
the show where we give you a moderate dose of info, sarcasm, and we already know we're not approved. Hey everybody, welcome to episode. Okay, we do base 69 here. So I want to say it's 69 plus 4. I'm going to go with plus 4.
I believe
you have
correct.
To think about it too. You don't even know. Like
I actually am not sure if we're on 73 or 74, but I think you're right. We are 69 plus 4.
To help us, and it's not even helping us. That's fucking great. Oh shit! Welcome to episode whatever it is. Who cares? Does anybody like keep track of it? Like on episode? Nobody fucking knows. Anyway, we have someone on the podcast now that we've been trying to get for a little while and just got a little bit back and forth. We finally got there. Yeah. Obesetobeast. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm good. I'm happy to finally be here. Yeah, that was my bad. We were going to do it sooner, but then I moved cross country and then a bunch of other stuff happened. But I'm here now. That's all that matters.
We'll just blame your girlfriend for getting you to move.
Making me move. Yeah, it's her fault.
Yeah. We were talking about before this started, just like weather and fucking. Let me tell you, man. I'm thinking about moving more like northeast, but like just it sucks. It's like 5 months out of the year. It's snowy and cold. If we move like go straight northeast, we have to get into like snowboarding and skiing. Are you going to do that? Are you like? I feel like if you go that area, you kind of like have to embrace it.
I've thought about snowboarding, but I'm also like an incredibly huge weenie, and so like the thought of like hurting myself, which is funny because like I grew up skateboarding, right? And I skated recently, but like I was never good at it because I was too afraid to hurt myself. And so like but snowboarding definitely looks fun. Like that's the thing that like my mind goes to, I think, because I skated obviously and stuff. Like that's like in my head, I'm like, that's what the cool, like I still remember like the movies I grew up watching, right, where the snowboarders were cool and the skiers were like lame, you know. And so like, you know, no hate to anyone.
All the commercials, you'd have like a fucking what you call like a Mountain Dew commercial. They were all snowboarding.
Well, and then the skiers would be wearing like, you know, Lycra, like they're about to do a triathlon, which I've done a triathlon and I've worn all of that stuff, you know, but like I never felt cool when I wore it. You know what I mean? But the snowboarders
want to know
baggy
where
pants.
The cross-country skiers land on this.
Oh, cross-country skiing. If I did skiing, I would embrace that fully, like full neon, like just like bright green, the helmet that goes back, like just all of it, you know.
Like I don't know, Malcolm in the Middle, where like
yes, he has exactly. Huge... That's exactly what I'm thinking. Think that if you ever seen that episode of Malcolm in the Middle, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what I would look like skiing, because you just have to like own it.
I've got the cross country skis and I've got a takedown bow, so I can literally just ski out to somewhere, get some rabbits for Pippin.
Do you have any Lycra?
I'm going to have to invest in Lycra.
Yeah, I think you do.
But I mean, it's hunting, so it has to be like some sort of camo Lycra.
Yeah, exactly. Some woodland camo. You need to hit up Realtree, see if they'll make you some.
I think you should take it up. Listen, what is snow if not like water in a different form? And water doesn't hurt. Like, so you'll be totally like, just think of it that way and you'll be fine. I'm totally like, I know I'm going to fall over so much and like hurt myself or whatever, but I feel like you just kind of have to embrace it. And it seems like a fun pastime, because if you're going to go northeast, you have to do that. But anyway, besides, why don't you give us a little bit on your,
just saying.
Yeah.
Dude, I was talking to someone recently in my, one of my mods on my live streams, and she's from Canada. Right. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to go tobogganing. And I'm like, tobogganing, what is that? And she's like, she sent a picture and I was like, that's a sled, just call it sledding. And she's like, no, it's different. And I was like,
that's one of the
toboggan.
Is it
it's a crazy word.
It's the Olympic thing where they run and then they slide down on the thing, or is that the one where they lie on top of each other? Am I thinking?
I have no idea what she said. Luge? Yeah, I think you're thinking luge. What she said was basically just sledding. She's like, anything can be a toboggan. Like you can toboggan with like a trash can lid, and I was like, "That's just a sled. Like, why are we?"
That is
it sounds too fancy. I don't know.
Well, we got a toboggan while we're wearing our toques.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember using a fucking trash can lid, especially the metal one too. You get the metal trash can lid that's got the handle on it that would just make you veer way off course. You get hurt. Oh, it's good times, man. It's good. Growing up without a lot of money was fun.
Mm-hmm.
You make shit happen.
The floor is lava. Okay.
Oh shit. Well, yeah, give us a little bit about you and your backstory, that sort of stuff, what you do on social media, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So my name's John, or Obesetobeast, and so with that name, I think it's pretty clear. I used to be big. So for me, like, I mean, I could do the whole story, but I'll save like the whole how I gained weight, unless obviously if you guys ask any questions. But I got up to being like 400 pounds at my heaviest, and that was when I was like 20 years old. And, obviously, as with anyone, a lot of things led to me being that size. But for the sake of time, I won't go into all of that again, unless there's any questions. But I started losing weight. And as I was losing weight, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of winging it, just kind of doing what I could. And that had its own set of good things and bad things that came from that, as far as
I'm curious how you started. So like, what did you start with? Just like, eat more foods that I'm supposed to eat, or less of the foods that I'm not supposed to, like, that sort of, what were you doing?
Basically, yeah. So what I call it the common sense diet. And so when I first started losing weight, so like a little bit of like, I had what I call the click moment. I have a lot of things that I call certain things, but like I call it the click moment, right? Where I was like, okay, like I need to do this. And it was when I was 20 years old. I had gone to a wedding for a friend of mine. I lived in San Diego, and it was in Utah, and we drove there with my best friend and his like family. It was a 13-hour drive. And in that drive, I remember, I'm just snacking, eating whatever, not really worrying. But we got to Utah, and I go to get out of the car, and I remember I got really lightheaded, and I kind of fell back into the car. And at this time, it's crazy to think about it now because I'm 32 now, right? But I was 20 years old. I was still basically a child, right? When I think of being 20 as a child, basically now, I was terrified of dying. Like I thought about, I'm going to have a heart attack soon, all the time. Like I couldn't be alone. I was afraid to be alone because I was like, if I have a heart attack, who's going to be here? Like that was just, and it was just like normal thoughts. I wasn't like, it's not like I wanted to, but it was just like, but clearly that's what's going to happen at some point. And so like these were all fears. So when that happened, it was like, oh, that's what's happening right now. Like something serious. And so I was like super scared, but I didn't really want to tell people that. And so they're like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, oh yeah, I think just I'm lightheaded and I didn't drink enough water and the elevation change and whatever. I just need some like Motrin. Right. So they got me that. But again, we're at this wedding, and the whole time, like I remember the guys all went out to play basketball, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I ended up like, I don't even remember what I did. I just was like alone maybe, or I hung out with a woman for like at that period. But we end up like the wedding happens, and I remember, I mean, I had a pretty good time. But then we came back, and a few weeks later the photos come out. Right. And I remember at that point I was really good at avoiding mirrors. And so like when these pictures came out, I was like, wow. Cause at the time I was wearing a size 56-inch waist, pants, and a 5XL shirt. And it was just like, I saw the photos and I thought I looked great, but then I saw the pictures and I was like, oh, that's what I look like, And that wasn't even honestly like the click moment, but that was a really important thing that happened to me a few weeks before I started losing weight, because I think that had to put me in the mindset of, okay, this has to happen. Right. And I really want to make this happen. And so the click moment was, this was back when Netflix first came out with like streaming. So I was
I thought you were going to say DVDs where you in the mail. I still remember that shit.
I'm that old.
No, I remember that too. I watched
I'm 33. I remember that.
I watched Dexter with all the DVDs, and you'd have to wait like a couple days, and you're like, no.
I think I watched Lost with it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, but it was when the streaming was relatively new, so I was, using it quite a bit, and I was watching Miami Ink, and I have these tattoos on my forearms. They were the only tattoos that I had. One right there too. And I remember I would always think like, man, I would love to get tattoos on my upper arms and like other places on my body, but like, I just can't because I'm so big, right? That's at least in my head how I felt. And there was this guy that came on the show that had lost a lot of weight, and he was getting like a cheeseburger tattoo to kind of commemorate his weight loss. And they started talking to him and asking him like, how did you, lose the weight? And I don't even remember exactly what he said, but it was something about choices. He was just like, I had to make different choices. And I remember thinking to myself, because at that point, up until then, it was very easy for me to say, well, I don't really have the option to eat whatever I want because I have to eat like the rest of my family. And, we grew up very poor. And like, you know, there was, you know, a period of time where I was taken away from my mom, and like, it was, you know, it was a tumultuous upbringing. And then we ended up getting put back with her, thankfully, but we were also very low income, Section 8 housing, all of that stuff. Right. I'm sure we all heard that story, but like it definitely made it more difficult. And I think it made it to where I was like, that's the reason, right? It's not me. But now I was 20, and I felt like I couldn't really use that as an excuse. Not that I really did, but like, I think subconsciously it was something that helped me cope with the fact that I was as large as I was. Right. And I think I started to realize I need to make different decisions. The decisions that I have made have led me to this point, regardless of if it's my fault, right? There was this video from Will Smith that went super viral, like, I don't know, it was like 8 years ago, maybe at this point, before the slappening, right? And I remember I really liked it because he talked about fault versus responsibility. And like, just because something isn't your fault does not mean it's not your responsibility to change it, right? And I was like, I think, again, obviously this video hadn't come out when this happened, but I think that's a thought that was going through my head, was like, okay, I could say, oh, it's my mom's fault, it's my parents' fault or whatever, but that doesn't change the fact that I need to lose weight. Or in my head, I was like, I'm going to die before I'm 30, right? Thankfully that didn't happen, but like, I felt that way, right? And so when I started losing weight, I literally just did what I call the common sense diet. So that day, I remember I was watching Miami Ink, I was eating a double entree plate of orange chicken from Panda Express with like fried rice or chow mein, one of the two, and a large drink. And their drinks are humongous, right? And I drank so much soda. And so I was like, okay.
Like the sodas that we have, when you have like a 48 ounces, a
64 ounce.
When you get to the point where your soda has a handle, you have like, I've seen that where like the plastic ones have a handle.
Oh yeah, dude,
like,
the super goals.
This is what I think things have gotten out of hand here. Like, even for someone who likes diet soda like myself as much as I do, I don't even know about that. And yet, if you have a regular soda with that's what, 1,000 calories worth of soda.
The amount, dude. I used to drink so much soda. Like, I would drink a 64 ounce with just some chips and a candy bar, and it was just a snack. And it's like, brother, that is like 4,000 calories. Like it was just crazy. Maybe not 4,000, but like an insane amount of calories just for a snack, right? But so I remember I was eating that, but I remember being like, I'm going to make different choices tomorrow. Like, and that's going to be the start. And I don't know how to explain it, but it was like, I was like, I'm going to do this time. Because I had tried to lose weight a ton of times, and I wasn't one of those people that would lose like a good amount and then gain it back. I would lose nothing because I had literally no willpower. I just would lose maybe 5 pounds and like basically all water weight, and then I would just be like, oh, I'm done with this, and I would gain it back, right?
Well, I think you described it perfectly at the start, where something clicked.
Yeah, right? Honestly, and that's why I call it that, because I wish I could bottle it and give it to people, right? Because when it comes to losing weight, because I like do coaching and stuff like that now, like the biggest thing is like, I could give someone the best information in the world. If they're not ready and they're not like willing to do it's impossible, right? Like, it's impossible no matter how much the person tries to help you, right? And so that's why I call it the click moment. But I remember I woke up the next day, and I felt like this weight had lifted off my shoulders, because I was like, I'm going to do this. I finished the food because I'm not going to waste it. But I remember I like woke up the next day.
Like, to just mention that, like, well, of course I ate the food. Like, I didn't throw it away.
I just think that, I don't know. Yeah, I just think it's funny because I didn't want to waste it. I don't know. But I remember I woke up the next day, and I just felt like I was like, this is happening, right? And I went and I got a haircut, and then because I was like, new me.
I know. I kind of like that idea of just being like, I'm going to do this new thing.
Yeah,
like,
it was like
a haircut, wardrobe, something just different. Yeah. I don't know, whatever it is.
It was like, I wanted to make a change. Yeah. And then I went to Vaughn's, which was a grocery store near where I lived. And luckily, I lived very close to a grocery store where I was able to walk to it, which made things a lot easier for me, which is something I didn't realize until I've learned a lot about other things that make it harder for people to lose weight. But luckily, I was not in a food desert, so I was able to just walk to the grocery store, and I didn't know what was healthy, so I just bought like sandwich stuff. And I think I actually bought pre-made sandwiches because, again, like I was like, so I just knew nothing about nutrition, right? And so I remember when I started, and I bought a bunch of water too. When I started, my mom used to like, again, she had the best intention. She always wanted to help me, but I would eat like 2 sandwiches for lunch. And she's like, that's a lot of bread. Isn't bread bad for weight loss? And I was just like, well, it's better than what I was eating before, and 1 sandwich isn't enough. And so like that's like how I started, was like the common sense diet. And so what that entailed for me was no more soda, because like I said, I drank a lot of soda, like over a 2-liter every day. Easily.
I mean, just doing that alone would definitely
lead to weight loss. 100%. Like liquid calories is one thing I always, anyone that I'm working with, or just in general, it's like if you can cut them out or cut them down as much as possible, because I definitely indulge in liquid calories, especially when it comes to like my coffee drinks. I definitely use creamer.
Oh yeah,
but like if
I've
you
got
can cut it
several
down,
cans in front of me right now.
But if you can cut it down, right? And I'm not saying you have to drink like regular water. If that's gross, okay, this Crystal Light. Okay. I love it. And it helps me drink water. Right. Mm-hmm. But cutting out liquid calories, basically, which for me was mainly just cutting out soda. Right. And then cutting out fast food, which was obviously a huge, like that was a lot of the food that I ate at the time. A normal McDonald's order for me at the time. Now, when I say this, I'm like, damn, you must have been rich, but it wasn't as expensive then. But I would get 2 McDoubles, 2 McChickens, a large fry, a large drink, and maybe some chicken nuggets, right? Like that would be lunch.
Yeah.
It was like, because 1 wasn't enough. And so 2, that's kind of how my mind worked.
So you got like your 2,000 calories in for one meal.
Yeah. And I lived in, I was born and raised in San Diego. I just moved to Massachusetts like a few months ago, right? But Mexican food is really popular there, and it's very good, but it's not the healthiest, especially the food that I would get. And so like I would get like a California burrito, which is a carne asada burrito with French fries in it, right? And then also I would
with
get
all cuisine, it depends. It's on a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, like Mexican cuisine, lots of beans, that's great, but you can definitely up the calories a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of other things.
Yeah, so I would do that, and then I would get a quesadilla on the side, or maybe some rolled tacos, because of course the burrito wasn't enough, right? So like that was something that I would do, and then I cut out what I called like snacks, because I would snack a lot, like, and just like on chips and candy bars and just all of that stuff, right? When I was bored, I also had a 7-Eleven that was really close to me, so I would walk there. In my head, I'm like, wow, I'm doing a good job. But then I would eat like 1,000 calories of just random crap, and that was kind of the start of me losing weight. It was just starting out the common sense diet and slowly figuring things out over time. And I'm really glad that I was able to figure that out for myself, because through that, I learned a lot about nutrition. And then eventually I started to learn more and more, and I started to obviously like lose weight. Now, this was before social media was what it is now. It was around, because I lost my weight around like 2013 was when I like lost the weight. And then 2014 was when I started Obesetobeast, I guess you'd call it. But it's not like I was like, I'm going to like, now people are like, I'm going to start a page and be an influencer, right? I'm going to be this, and that's not, it just didn't, it wasn't like that then, right? I started the page Obesetobeast literally because I was posting so much on my regular Instagram that I felt bad. And so I was like, let me just make an Instagram that's only about losing weight. And I was like trying to think of a name, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, So I was just like, went with it. It's funny because I've had people like, oh, you're not even a beast. And I'm like, when I made it, I wasn't calling myself a beast. It was like aspirational, I'm I'm going to be a beast. And I was 20 years old. Leave me alone.
The amount of, what's even the word I'm looking for? How we view muscle these days. You have to be out to here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny looking back, but I don't think I'd ever change like the name, just because it's, it's become such a big part of like my identity at this point, and
it's a great play on words.
Yeah. It's good and bad, because I think like there's been, I've been doing it for so long. It is hard for me to separate like who's John and then who's Obesetobeast. That's like something I work on a lot. Like that's why I have these drums behind me, because I drummed before I lost weight. And I think I was like searching for something that was me before I was Obesetobeast. And I think that's why I got back into them. That's a whole nother story.
You're getting recruited for the band, just to let you know.
It sounds good. I'm down. But yeah, so like that was the start. And then, with like making, I didn't make the Obesetobeast thing until I had lost like the majority of my weight. So losing the weight was its own whole thing that like I dealt with like binge eating. There were some mistakes that I made, because again, I started with the common sense diet, which I feel was genuinely pretty healthy with the decisions I was making. But then it went to the extreme of, oh, if I eat this many calories, I lose this much weight. Well, what if I eat less and then less and then less and then less, and then I'm barely eating anything, right? Yeah. And so I got to a point where it definitely wasn't good. I was struggling with binge eating, and that's this whole other thing. But during that was when I kind of made Obese to Beast and started posting online again, not because I was trying to be an influencer, because it really wasn't a thing. It was just because I wanted to share something I was really excited about, because obviously I had wanted to lose weight my entire life. Like, and so I was like actually successful at it. And I was just like, I remember thinking, like, for the longest time, I felt like I couldn't lose weight. I had shirts that said "Born to be Big." I loved Big Black. He was my favorite person in the world. I loved the BB logo. Like, it just felt like I'm just a big guy. That's just who I am. And like, so when I actually started losing weight, I realized how wrong I was, and I realized how simple losing weight is. That doesn't mean it's easy. Two very different things. Simple and easy. Yep. It's not the same thing. But like, I realized I thought I had done everything to lose weight, but I hadn't done the thing that mattered the most, which was eating in a deficit for an extended period of time. Like, because I was like, oh, I've tried Slim Fast. I've tried this. I literally, dude, Slim Fast is a funny thing. My mom used to, like, she would bring it home. I would just be like, okay, I would drink that, but then continue eating all the same foods. But I'm like, I'm drinking Slim Fast. You know, granted, I was like 10, right? So I obviously didn't know what I was doing, but like, I had tried in my head for so long, and I did genuinely try, but I was just trying the wrong stuff. And like that, it became like, once I realized that, I was like, I just need to share this with other people, because there's nothing special about me. I don't have any sort of degree about this stuff. I don't have any more knowledge than anyone else. And I was able to do it. And I just remember how, when I was at my biggest, how trapped I felt and frustrated I felt. And I was like, I can help people not feel this way anymore if they want to, right? And that kind of what made me want to start posting about stuff. So
yeah. So I mean, how long? So you said it took. So how long from kind of like start to where you're at now? Like, you know, if you said you are your largest, what, 400 pounds? So how long?
Yeah. I mean, the largest number I saw was 360, and so I try not to say I'm almost positive. My mom's like, you're definitely over that, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to be like, I was 500 pounds actually. But yeah, so I was 20 years old, and when I started losing weight, I'm 32 now. So it's been 12 years, and I've thankfully never really had a like significant weight gain or anything like that. I've been able to maintain the weight, which is like, I'm much more proud of that, because it's incredibly difficult. And like, you know, that's not me trying to say if you haven't, there's anything wrong with you. It's very hard. And I've been very lucky in like the opportunities that I've gotten from being Obese to Beast have certainly made it easier for me to maintain the weight loss, because this is my job. Right. And so I'm not working a 9 to 5. I don't have any kids. I literally have, the only responsibility is filming these videos and playing those drums. You know what I mean? So like, I get it. And so that's not me trying to be like, if you've gained the weight, then you're a bad person. It's hard, right? It's really hard, but it is something that I am very proud of, and something that I talk a lot more about maintaining weight loss now, I think, because it's been 12 years. Like it's been a long time since I lost the weight. So it is, there is that struggle of me to even relate to how I felt when I was first losing weight, because I've been living this life of a healthy, you know, lifestyle for so long now, that it is hard for me to completely understand, or not understand, but you know, it definitely requires a lot more work for me to think back on that than it does for me to think back, what did I do yesterday? You know, like that's,
you've spent easier. More time in this form than in that form at this point.
Yeah. Oh, well, almost. Like at my head
and by that form, I mean the actual losing part.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The losing weight was relatively short. Like, I definitely think it would have been better if it was a little bit longer, but again, I just didn't know what I was doing, and I have ADHD, and so I get hyperfixated about like you drop your calories.
Did you start doing like calorie counting and that sort of thing at some point?
Yeah, so I started kind of like calorie counting, and like that's when like I think like the hyperfixation came in, because I realized it became a game. It kind of became a game for me where I can just,
if I just drop it a little bit lower, but if I just drop it here, I'll lose this much more. And then you kind of just keep going with that.
Yeah. And that's why I really like to talk about this stuff, because people ask me all the time, oh, have you ever felt like, are you ever scared of going back to where you were? And now, no, there's like, it's not even a thought because I understand what it would require. Like I would have to basically change everything that I genuinely enjoy doing now to get to that size. But there was a time when I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to maintain the weight. And that was when I was in the middle of binge eating, because at the time I felt out of control. I had cut so much out because I had this mindset, which I know we were kind of talking about before, like this idea of being able to maintain, right? I had this mindset and it made a lot of sense at the time. When I look back on it now, in my opinion, it's a recipe for disaster. And so I would have this mantra in my head where if you can do it for one day, why can't you do it for a month? You know? And so what that looked like was, if you can eat 700 calories for one day, why can't you always eat 700 calories? If you can do it for one day, you should always be able to do it. And the only reason that you're not able to do it is because you're not dedicated enough, right? Like that was the mindset that I would have. And it just didn't work because at the time I was working 2 jobs, right? At a shoe store. It's funny. I worked at the Vans shoe store and Vaughn's, the grocery store. So Vans and Vaughn's. And, but what I did at Vaughn's was I worked in the meat department where you are lifting very heavy frozen blocks of they're boxes of just meat, right? That are 50 pounds at the lightest, right? And I remember when I would work, during work, it would be okay. But like when I would go on my break and sit down and eat, like they would have I would eat this little tiny prepackaged salad and an apple, right, for lunch. And when I would stand up every time from lunch, I was so lightheaded and I felt like I was going to pass out, right? And like that became super normal, that like feeling of like I needed to pass out. And so the binge eating would start happening where I would be able to do the 700 to like 1,200 calories for 3-4 days. But then the way that I explain it is that like eventually I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. So it was like the way that I explain it is like it felt like there was this like reaper behind me, right? That I could kind of keep him at bay for a couple days. I'd be like, stay back there. I don't need anything. But then eventually after a couple days, he would just walk up and touch my shoulder, right? And like I would feel that sounds strange. I would feel that touch earlier in the day. And in my head, I'm like, I know I'm binging tonight. It was just like I had accepted that tonight I'm going to eat all of this food. It's not like I would make a plan. Like I would never actually go out and get a bunch of food, but like whatever was at home, I would eat extreme amounts, right? Like the best example I have was, I remember at the time I was like getting really into bodybuilding and I was like, oh, refeed meals. Like you're supposed to only really eat carbs. You're not supposed to have that much fat. So I remember one time I was like, okay, I'm going to do a refeed, right? And what that meant was for me was I got a box of Chex cereal and I ate it dry because
just
the whole thing,
just like hand
with
in
my
there,
hand
just kind of dump it into the,
both. Like I was just in my head, I was like, it was a refeed, but then I ended up eating more after that. And then I don't know. I've actually talked to a few people, and a few people have had similar experience where they have a certain food that's their stop food when they're binging. And for me, it would be oats. And so I would make oatmeal with like peanut butter and like it was high calories, right? But that would be like my meal that would stop me from eating anything else. And I remember like that was a cycle that went on for not too long, maybe about a year. And I remember I was really terrified because I just felt out of control. And I remember I actually ended up doing a bodybuilding show while this was happening. But the bodybuilding show, I hesitate to say this because I don't want people to get the wrong impression, because I think a lot of times doing physique shows and bodybuilding shows, if you're someone that's lost a lot of weight, can be very harmful. But for me, it helped because I became very focused on tracking everything and making sure I was eating enough during the week. Even when I was cutting, I started eating more. But I remember being terrified of like, what am I going to do after I'm done? Right. Because like you see plenty of people that aren't someone that has ever struggled with their weight gain 30 pounds after a like week or two from a show. And I was already obese to beast at this point. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't, right? Like I was terrified of how people would respond if I gained a ton of weight randomly, right? And so I remember I was like really scared, but at the same time I was like, I've always like, I think tracking is great and it's very useful, but I hate doing it. Like it's just too, it's like, it gets very annoying to me. And so I was like super looking forward to not, because I was tracking literally everything, right? Like every gram of everything as accurately as I could, right? There's always a level of inaccuracy when it comes to tracking.
This piece of gum has 2 calories. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Yes, exactly. And like, so I was looking forward to not doing that anymore, but at the same time, I was terrified of gaining a ton of weight. And I think the way that I handled it definitely wasn't the healthiest. I wasn't tracking, but I was still very careful. But luckily I didn't have a crazy rebound, but that really helped me. I don't know. It just helped me kind of realize that what I was doing, I didn't want to do that. And like tracking is not something I wanted to do forever. And it helped me realize that like I need to eat more and I need to be able to eat in a way that I don't feel like I have to track and I'm not gaining an absorbent amount of weight. And with tracking, the reason that I'm a fan of it to an extent is that it taught me a lot about nutrition and about what is in the foods that I eat and the things that I learned.
Teaching tool.
The things that I learned through tracking, I still implement. And so what I do now is the term intuitive eating is kind of dirty now, I think, but I like the term. What does that call it? I had a word for it. I haven't used this term in a while, but mindful eating. That's what I call it because like I'm still mindful of the things that I'm still focused on. And I try to focus on nutrition. You know, if with any of my clients, I talk to them about like trying to focus on the protein every meal, like try and have that be the center of the meal and build it around that, right? Like that's still what I do. Do I think about it every day? No, but because it's become how I eat now. Right. That's that.
So that seemed to kind of help you with the binge eating. Did anything else kind of help you along the way deal with that? Because I know that's something a lot of people just struggle with, and obviously you can't speak for everyone, but just like what kind of helped you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, the one thing I always say with binge eating is everyone is different, and especially with binge eating, everyone's story of how they get there is different, and the way that they can fix it, or I don't even like that term, but the way that they can get out of it is going to look different for everyone. Yeah. But for me, a really big part was the bodybuilding show because I realized that I had to eat more. I was not eating enough. And thankfully I had a really good friend. He's still my good friend. His name's Brian. He had a YouTube channel, he still does. But at the time he was doing like a lot of bodybuilding shows. Now he's still a bodybuilder, but he focuses on veganism. He's a vegan bodybuilder now. But at the time he really helped me be like, you have to eat more. Like you're not eating enough, because I was telling him about like these binges and he really helped me realize that I needed to eat a little bit more. And then on top of that, just lifting, like going to the gym and working out, I was just hungrier as well. And so I was like, I want to eat more. And so that really helped me as well, was just basically lifting more and eating more and realizing that, okay, I am gaining a little bit of weight, but it's not bad. It's not like, oh, I'm not. The thing that's really common I've noticed with people that are losing an extreme amount of weight is that we get so focused, hyperfixated on lowest weight. Mm-hmm. And, it's good to have a goal. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but it's important to understand like at what point is your goal dictating your life too much, right? And so like the way that I say is like when I competed, I was 180 pounds, right? I'm 5'8". And now I weigh 210. And so if I always felt like I needed to be 180 pounds, I would constantly feel like I'm a failure, right? So it was about shifting that mindset of like low weight doesn't equal good always for me anymore, right? For a long time, and it's hard to make that shift because when you're losing weight, it could be taking a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long your journey is, right? You're constantly thinking low weigh-in equals good. Low weigh-in is better. Low weigh-in is good. And then it's really, really, really hard to switch from that mindset to there might be a time when you're not losing weight for months, and that's also good, or you're gaining weight, and that's also good, right?
I heard another podcast really say pounds for a purpose, and I always like that. Like, I like that. Yes, I'm gaining weight, but like there's a reason for it. It's better for me. I need it at the moment. I remember when I got to I'm 6'3" I got down to like 172.
Oh, wow.
So I was like real lean. I had like a decent amount, enough to look like good in a picture. And then I got kind of fixated on like keeping that and like gaining weight. I was like, no, I got to get back down there. And like, I just kind of got used to being like hungry all the time.
Yeah.
So like in order to maintain that, I kind of have to be like,
you just get used to, like I said, like, oh yeah, I stood up and now I'm lightheaded. That's totally normal.
Man, like I always ate the like the Kirkland protein bars and stuff like that because I was like, oh, protein fiber. What if I eat 2 of them? Then that's like
that's a meal,
calories.
Dude. It's fine.
That's my meal. Right there. Just 2 of those, and eventually I was like, I need to kind of live. I need to live a little bit, so like I can get leaner, but I'm already pretty lean as it is. And like, I'm happy with it. I'm not like, you just get hyper fixated on things, and it is kind of tough to break out of that cycle. I think it's just kind of healing your relationship with food, talking to other people, and like you said, everyone's different. It's just gonna depend.
Yeah. And like, I'm a huge proponent of trying to find what works for you. And I think that's one of the biggest lies the fitness industry tells people is that there's an answer for everyone. And it's one answer. You know what I mean? Like there's one size fits all answer for everyone. And I just don't think that that's true. I think
instead
that
you have to take the body type quiz to find out what your body type is. And then you can find the actual answer.
I'm an ectomorph. I'm a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. But like, I think like, when it comes to like, cause like when I first started, it was when keto was first becoming popular, right? So that was the thing that so many people, now it's like carnivore, I guess, but like, I don't have a problem with that. So whenever I say this, people get mad at me. If it works for you, that's great. Yeah. But I have seen it not work for so many people. And the problem is that these things, they do work. I'm not going to sit here and say they don't help you lose weight. They do, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. But a lot of people really struggle with, what now? Yeah. You lose the weight and then what now? Right. But then the biggest problem for me about these is that people start to feel like I failed keto. No. Keto failed you. All right. It wasn't going to work. Like, and so you feeling, and then people they constantly feel like, well, I have to continue doing it because that was the thing that helped me lose 30 pounds.
That was the only thing that worked.
And again, if you use keto and it works for you, again, I'm not talking about you, right? I'm talking about the people that have tried certain diets. It could be Atkins, it could be whatever, insert whatever you want, right? That it worked for a period. They lost 40 pounds, but then they gained it back. And then they're like, I have to continue. I have to do it again. I have to try it again. I have to try it again. And it's like, at some point you have to understand, continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? People say that's insanity. Apparently that's been debunked. That's not actually the definition, but
I've heard that's like the definition of insanity, but people are like, no, that's not the definition of insanity. It sounds like it could be.
It sounds good, but if something isn't working, you have to you might be like, oh, I'm not trying hard enough, but also it's okay to look and be like, maybe that's not for me, and it's it's about finding what works for you, the kinds of foods that you enjoy, not what Joe Schmo over here is saying, not what this person is selling, not what this thing is. Find what works for you. And I think that's really what has been helpful for me, because I don't rely on anyone else's knowledge to make the choices for myself. I have found all of this knowledge for myself and then implemented it. And I've seen what works for me, what doesn't. And then I've just continued, logically through that and finding what works.
You found a breakfast that works for you, that's for sure.
Dude, I literally just ate it this morning. I've basically eaten, so what he's talking about, I've basically eaten the same thing for breakfast for like 10 years. And so I really so it's protein oatmeal. So it's oatmeal, protein powder, peanut butter. Recently, because my girlfriend was like, brother, you need to have more fruits in your diet. So I cut up like fruit on top of it. And then she also got me on putting like Greek yogurt on top, which it does sound very weird, but it's a nice kind of mixture.
I'm with it. I think it's good. Especially like a sweetened yogurt. Like they have all the flavors and stuff now. Like you can mix it up. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you find something that you like and you just go with it. I know some people get like real bored easily. It kind of, again, it just depends on the person. But like, I'll find a breakfast and I'll just go with it until a long ass time, honestly. I'm not even that hungry in the morning. So normally I'm just like, okay, I need protein and fiber. So I like the Oikos Pro drinkable yogurts, like 23 grams of protein and like a piece of fruit. I grab that, I'm out the door, I do my workout. On the way back from my workout, I have like almonds in my car and like snack on those. Cause I know if I don't eat that and I go home, be like super hungry and I'll just start smashing things. So like that kind of tides me over till I get home and actually make an actual cohesive meal.
And like the thing that is important to me is that, yes, that works for me, but I'm also not going to be like, let me make a plan for everyone and they should eat exactly this. It's like, no, like with the people that I work with, the clients or whatever, I don't tell them you should eat this. I'm like, I understand that I'm crazy. Okay. And I don't expect you to do exactly what I do. And I think like with the fitness industry, it's very easy to want to prescribe that to everyone. I think it's an easy way to kind
because
of make
it worked
money.
For you.
Yeah.
And it worked for you, right? And it will work. And it will work.
It will work. And I think like it's also easy for other people. They want to see something that is proven that it works. But for me, it's just, I understand that like, yes, this works for me, but I understand that everyone's different. Right. And so like what would work for you wouldn't necessarily be that. And so I always try and
definitely hit the nail on the head with the easy money though. Cause it's copy, paste.
Copy.
Yeah, it's just that's a whole thing. I mean, like I've obviously like I've been. It feels weird. I've been doing this for a long time now, though, right? So I'm kind of like an old man in this industry, right? But like I've seen that so much, right? It works, but it's like usually like it's like a supernova, right? It burns bright, but then it burns out. Right. And so when people like they kind of come on the scene and it can be very exciting and they end up like making all of these claims. And I just try to encourage people that it's about making lifestyle changes that are sustainable. My favorite word is sustainability. Like I try to encourage people to find something that works for you. Like any diet, like if you're doing something and you're just constantly like, oh my God, this sucks. That's a red flag. You need to look at that. I'm not saying that everything you're doing is wrong, but you need to start to realize, okay, I need to find it to where it doesn't at least feel horrible every time I'm doing it, right? Like, of course, with losing weight, it's going to be hard. Like you're in a deficit. Yes, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but like if it feels like pulling teeth every day, you might be able to do that for maybe even a year, but eventually you're going to hit a wall and then you're going to be like, I'm done. Right. And that's what I want people to avoid.
Yeah. Because that's definitely what I wanted to get into a little bit. It's just kind of the sustainability. So you talk about that, I'm kind of curious, like, what have you done? Or maybe even the clients that you work with that you find, like, what helps create that sustamentability?
Yeah, I think like it's kind of a lot of the stuff that we've obviously already been talking about is really like the kind of building blocks of it. When it comes to like my advice for anyone that wants to lose weight and like I swear I'm not trying to advertise my coaching. I'm full. I don't want any more clients. Like I'm
we
good.
Don't care if you do.
But like, it's just like, it's really, it's the best way that because I've only been doing it for a little bit of time, but I've been able to really, have more conversations with people right through it. And like the reason I called it, so what I call it is foundations. And like what I try to encourage people to do that I'm working with is to build a strong foundation to start up from there. Right. And so it's like a lot of times when it comes to losing weight, a lot of people get focused. Like when I think of foundation, I think of a pyramid, right? It's not a pyramid scheme, I promise. But like a lot of people end up focusing, oh, what are the supplements I need? What are the protein and nutrient timing? And I'm like, dude, that doesn't how many calories did you eat today? Let's focus on that first, like just the simple things. And like, oh, you don't know how many calories you ate today. Okay, let's figure that out. Let's figure out how to track that, right? And I'm not saying you have to be perfect with your calories, but like at least get an idea, right? Yeah. It's like starting with stuff like that, because the more you understand, like knowledge is power, right? And so the more that you understand, it's much harder to put your head in the sand if you understand like, okay, if I eat this meal, this is at least 1,500 calories, versus, I don't know. I mean, it's an acai bowl. It's healthy. It's like, is it? Like, is it? And so it's just like all of those things and like really pursuing understanding the things. And I don't think it has to take a ton of your time. It doesn't have to become your whole identity figuring this stuff out. I think I get really frustrated and like when I talk about the fitness industry because there are so many people saying, oh, I have the answer. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And it really does confuse people. Like, luckily we're in a position where there's so much information that if you have any questions, you can find the answer, but also you can find someone that's saying they have the answer,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think because I like you're saying there's just understanding the basics, because I think a lot of people, they lose weight, they gain it back, right? And a lot of the ways they lose it is by doing something sort of extreme. You remove all carbs, you only eat cookies. That was my favorite fad diet, was the cookie diet. Do you remember that, John? Do you remember the cookie diet? Yeah, you would eat these cookies and you'd have a drink and there was something in the cookies that would expand. So it would fill your stomach. And so like, you lose a bunch of weight on like the cookie diet, but the moment you stop, you gain the weight back. And you never really learned anything
not
besides that diet worked.
A lot of these fad diets made by companies, Beachbody, Atkins, all those, they're actually set up so that they know you will fail in about 3 months. because in about 3 months, that is the time it takes for you to not associate that failure with them. You put the failure on yourself and you look at them and be like, okay, it worked, so I'm going to go back to that. It's very predatory.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, I think I get so many messages of people that like, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, right? That have said, I've tried everything. Yeah. And it's just like, it just doesn't work. And I get frustrated because obviously, yes, there's going to be some personal agency. You have to put in the work. Yes, of course. Right. But when you are also starting with, it's like starting a race and then it's like, there's a bunch of people on the sidelines that say, oh, we have your best interests at heart. We're going to give you this thing to help you run further and faster and just drink this. And then you drink it halfway through the race. You're freaking dying on the side of the road. And you're like, oh man, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. That person that gave you that drink did the thing that was wrong. Like you can't blame yourself for that. Right. Yeah. Again, to an extent, there's like, of course, if you're not trying, all of that stuff matters, but I feel like a lot of times we just focus on you're not trying hard enough. You're not trying hard enough, which is important. You have to try. It's hard. It is hard, obviously, but like there's more to it than just that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, because and man, this is something I see. I'll talk in a video about like, oh, losing weight, it comes down to a calorie balance, right? Losing or gaining weight comes down to calorie balance. Losing weight requires a calorie deficit, and a lot of the times when people hear others who look like me say that, they're also saying you're fat and lazy and just stop being stupid. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm trying to teach you just the fundamentals and also acknowledge that it can be incredibly difficult for various reasons. It's pretty easy for me to lose weight. For some people, it can be like pulling teeth. It can be incredibly difficult. They're hungry all the time. They have medical conditions. They're in a food desert. Whatever it is, it can be really difficult. And I think it's important that we try and acknowledge that, but also acknowledge reality. Like this is it's thermodynamics. We have to figure out somehow how we can get you into a calorie deficit without you losing your mind.
Yeah. And there's just so many things that you have to contend with, right? Because I remember, I don't feel like I see this as much. I'm curious what you guys think, but I remember 8 years ago, I would hear all the time, I actually don't eat enough. That's why I can't lose weight. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
I don't see that as much anymore, but occasionally it'll pop up.
And I'm always like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not going to say you're wrong, but usually from my experience, what I've realized a lot of times what that looks like is they don't eat enough 3 to 4 days out of the week, right? So they do well on their diet for, 3 days, right? Where they're eating 1,200, 1,100 calories, but then maybe it's even only 2 days where they're overeating, but they don't realize. We as humans, I think we just in general struggle with being like, oh, this about this many calories, when in reality it's 3 times as much, right? I think that's
we're terrible
a really common thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a weight loss coach, I forget his name, but on TikTok, he did a great video on it. It's like you're not losing weight because you're not eating enough. And then he went on talking about how, like, for breakfast, you have like 2 eggs because you've told that's good. And then you have a salad. And then you have basically nothing. By the time 9 o'clock rolls around, you're just famished and you just eat anything you can to not feel hungry. And that can happen. But the idea that I think the idea that you need to like fuel your metabolism with more meals and stuff, I think that's mostly died out. Occasionally people will try and revamp it because it did work for a while, right? Like people bought into that. So like occasionally I think it's a lot of, people who are trying to make it on social media with that sort of thing. Like, let's pull one of the old ones in the fucking closet out. Let's try that again. Maybe people will fall for it.
Maybe they forgot.
It's been long enough people forgot that it doesn't work. So like eat 9 small meals instead, and that's better. But just finding the sustainability, it's something that's just like so many people struggle with, because what percentage of people just gain the weight back? Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's such a large percentage.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So like finding those things that you feel comfortable with. Like, you can eat oatmeal every day for 10 years, like, and you'd be fine. You're fine with that. Yeah. Like, or, whatever, like, little thing, one of those things that work for you. And that's what I kind of struggle with, like, on a podcast. This is like, what do I do now? Do I just give you a bunch of options? Do I just fucking rapid fire throw a bunch of things? And you're like, what about this, that, try all these things.
That won't be overwhelming at all.
That's what I'm saying. So like what, every week, maybe I just give like 5, hey, here's these 5 things that you could try. Maybe you'll hate them, or maybe you'll be like, oh, this is the secret. Like this is what's helped. This is what's actually helped me. I don't know. It's a tough thing to figure out.
Yeah. And I think like, again, a lot of times it comes from people having the best intentions. And like another really common thing with people that are trying to lose weight is you're very excited at the start. And so you make these grandiose plans. I'm only going to eat this many calories, or I'm going to, I'm going to eat the chicken, broccoli, and rice diet. I'm going to do what bodybuilders do. Right. And it's like, dude, you might be able to do that for a little bit, but eventually you're just going to be sick of it. And it's not like, maybe you ran out of willpower for that, but it's like, dude, you didn't need to do all that anyways, So it's like, I think it's about finding the path of the least resistance, right? Like where it doesn't feel as hard. Again, it's never going to feel like you're running downhill, because like, that's just, it's not like that, but like, you don't have to make it incredibly hard for yourself, right? Like when I think about like Sisyphus, pushing the boulder up the hill, that's already hard enough, right? That's weight loss. But then when you add all these other things, it's like, okay, now I'm going to add ice on the ground. And then the boulder is actually shaped like a square.
And it's covered in oil.
Yeah. And so it's like you're making something that's already difficult, which is losing weight, especially a significant amount of weight, even more difficult by adding all of these extra things that you're like, I'm going to do all this, or like, and like, it's things that are usually best intentions. And like one of the things I'm mentioning is working out. Oh, I'm going to work out 6 days a week. Brother, when was the last time you went to the gym?
Every single New Year's.
Yeah,
these people who don't work out suddenly go to the gym and they think they're going to do it 6 days a week, and they're going to do the chicken broccoli rice thing.
This is the time.
Yeah, and it's just like, and then the workouts they do, and again, I hate saying they because it feels accusatory. I don't mean it in a negative way, right? But like the workouts that are done are way too much to where they can barely move the next day. Yep. You don't need to feel that way. Like, and I hate when people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna barely be able to walk tomorrow. That's a good workout.
Yeah, they kind of wear it as a pride thing. And you're like,
you don't need to feel that way to have a good workout. You don't need to not be able to walk the next day for a leg day to count. And I'm sure there's people who are like, brother, you're just not committed enough. Whatever, man. Like, I think that again, if you're just getting started in the gym,
those are Papa Swolio's followers.
Swolio.
Oh man, that's a whole nother story.
Where this adding instead of restricting mentality helps a lot for people, for the sustainable aspect of it, because it's kind of weird. I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird when you come at people with that. A lot of times they've never heard that before, kind of like to add these foods in. And you're like, oh, okay. So you're like, oh, I hate these things. So like, I can't do it. I'm like, oh, what do you like? You're like, oh, I don't know. I fucking love asparagus. I'm like, oh, dope. You should totally eat that. That's great. Yeah. And you're like, no, I thought we had to eat broccoli. Like, no, that's not necessary at all. Whatever I don't care. If you're like one of those weirdos, like loves zucchini, I'm telling you, man, it just doesn't have much flavor to it. I'm just underwhelmed by zucchini. I really feel there's better vegetables in my opinion, but hey, if you like zucchini, that's the thing, like find those things that you like and you can afford and you can work into your diet and sort of build around that. Just like, I like this, the classic one, like Costco's rotisserie chickens, or they're $5. Okay. So you can start a meal around that. That's already a protein source. Perfect. How can you build around that? I'm posting a video today about like edamame. Like that's one of my favorite things. I eat it all the time. It's protein, it's fiber. It just makes it easy for me. How can you build around something that you like, and so that you can do it long term instead of just restricting and then eating only cookies, wherever the fuck it is.
Yeah, and it's like with the whole chicken broccoli rice thing, that's fine. If you want to do that and it works for you, that's great. But what's frustrating is it's the people that like, oh no, it's not just it works. It's the only thing that works.
It's the panacea. It's like, it cures everything. It's perfect.
No, like if it works for you, that's great. But like if someone else is like saying it's not working for them and they're searching for something that will work for them, let them find that instead of just saying, you just need to try harder. Yeah. You just need to like, I don't know. Like again, there's a certain person that works for, and that's great, but that's not everyone. And I think like understanding that that's not everyone and trying to help like meet that person where they are, because losing weight for them is something that they desperately need to do it, right? Maybe they're there's plenty of people that like weight loss for them is like, it's something that has to happen. And so instead of just being like,
before surgeries and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like before they are exploring those other options, which again, maybe those options are the things that they need, and that's fine. Right. I think that's a whole nother story, man. I mean, I talk about that a lot, but like, trying not to shame the person, but I also think it's important to like try everything that you can before you go that route. Again, that's a whole nother thing, but like, yeah, it's about finding what works for you and not worrying about what other people are saying is good. Like if the chicken, broccoli, and rice brother is like, shaming you, just understand that, his frame of reference and probably where he's coming from is very different from where you came from. And just, you guys will probably never completely agree. And it is what it is. Like,
if anybody's shaming you, you don't need them in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, man. And then on top of that, you have all the people that, it's become a trend over the past few years to shame people for eating any sort of processed food or any artificial sweetener or any of this. I mean, how many fucking times? Like, that's one of the reasons I had to kind of switch up my content style a little bit, because I was just so tired of just like everything. This is killing you. That's killing you. Stop using your fucking air fryer. It's full of PFAS. You know how little I give a shit? Do you have any idea how how few shits I give about that? I don't care.
I have to say, it's hilarious that a lot of those people that were complaining about the PFAS and stuff in air fryers probably voted for Trump, who just, he changed the regulation on PFAS. He increased the limit of PFAS that you're allowed.
Oh, I didn't know. Nice. I did not know this.
So you guys are going to have more PFAS in your water.
Oh, you know what? At this point, give me the microplastics. Give me the fucking artificial. Just give me all the stuff. I'm not. I can't. Like, even as someone who makes content about like being healthy and shit, like I'm not gonna do everything perfect, because fuck that, man.
Exactly.
It's just so exhausting.
It's just like that when you place that. I just feel like placing that expectation on yourself is just so unnecessary. Like again, for me, it's about finding that strong foundation and building from there, and not like, if you're someone that I think there are plenty of people that really enjoy like optimizing as much as possible, and that's fine. I mean,
awesome. It's dope.
But like, don't expect everyone to have like, especially don't expect the single mom of like 3 kids that like, you know what I mean? It's just like, we all have the same 24 hours. I'm like,
we're not all Brian Johnson trying to fucking reverse our age here. I'm just trying to live my fucking life.
Oh, that Brian Johnson, not the other Brian Johnson.
Yes, that Brian Johnson. Last week went over this. Liver King is Brian Johnson with an I, and then Brian Johnson with a Y is the reverse aging guy. They're both Brian Johnson.
And then they can do like the fusion, and they turn into
the Wonder Twin powers activate.
The ultimate Brian Johnson. He reversed his age so much he went back to our ancestors.
He's a caveman now.
The never aging caveman, coming to you on Fox Thursdays at 7. Fuck. Yeah, I'll tell you. Before we go, I want to ask, because I always ask coaches this. Rob knows what I'm asking, but like I like to ask, what's a trait that you see amongst the people that you work with that makes them successful? Like, what's something they all do? They're like, the people that do this, they usually get along pretty well. I find that the people are able to acknowledge this, do this, whatever it is.
Honesty with me, and then with themselves. I think that's really, really important. Because like if you're honest with yourself and like your expectations and like the mistakes that maybe you've made, I think it's much easier to like mitigate those and make different choices. I think a lot of times when people are not very honest with themselves, and then it's obviously me as a coach, if you're not telling me what's actually going on, there's not much I can really do for you. But I think honesty, and then I would say another one that I guess maybe I'm cheating, but it would be like tightly connected would be like being able to forgive yourself, and like not beat yourself up over something. Be like, hey, I did this thing that was not in my best intention, or that's not for what I'm like the goal that I'm trying to get to.
Like responsibility, not your like. I guess maybe like whether it's your fault or not, like it's now my responsibility to be like, okay, so this happened, and now I'm going to do this instead. Yeah, so I'm going to like be honest about this mistake that I made, but I'm also not going to beat myself up for 2 weeks just because it makes me feel better. Which again, I say that experience. Yeah, I say that as someone who I beat myself up, like, so I'm not saying I'm perfect, but it's it's about like
okay, I understand that this was not the best thing for me, but also I understand that if I'm beating myself up, like I always talk about I like the wagon. I like to talk about the wagon, right? We always talk about, oh, I fell off the wagon.
Yeah.
You're the one that's driving the wagon, right? And so if you fall off the wagon, don't be like, oh no, I fell off the wagon. I'm going to run 3 miles backwards because I'm so mad. It's like the wagon's right there. Just get back on the wagon. Like it's not leaving. Just get back on, you know? But like a lot of times people are like, oh no, where is it? I'm closing my eyes and I'm sprinting backwards. Like, it's like, don't do that. Just be like, oh man, I made a mistake. Okay, cool. Let me hop back on.
It's right next to you. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. Didn't leave. You're driving.
You make a mistake. You get like my daughter just constantly falling over, hurting herself. She's 1.5. She's just like, she's all over the place. And then she gets back up. She keeps going. It's fine. Yep. She cried for a second. Big deal. We keep going. You're good. It's not no reason, just keep moving. Oh, that kid, I'm telling you, like when they're learning to walk, they got no idea. Like dude, she just walks straight into things. She's like, bam. I'm like, what? Did you not see that right in front of you? Like, no, she didn't.
Like, my favorite is like the wobble. You're like, oh, they're definitely gonna fall, and they don't. And you're like, how did you say that one?
Her arms go up, back and forth. Okay, I'm good. Okay, and then immediately trips and falls over anyway. I'm like, okay, it's fine.
And then they sneeze and fall on the ground. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh shit, man.
Actually, I do have one more thing, even though Liam said his was one more thing. Yeah. I have one more thing, which is every once in a while I get asked by people about loose skin while they're losing weight.
That's a good one.
And every single time somebody asks me about that, because I don't have any experience with that, I literally tell them, go look up Obesetobeast. If you have any advice for people as they're losing weight and dealing with the loose skin.
Oh, yeah. So first off, don't trust anyone that says that they can get rid of it for you. That's the biggest one. Yeah. The only way to get rid of significant, right? Because I lost 200-ish pounds. I still have my loose skin. I haven't gotten any surgeries, but that's the way you get rid of it is surgery, right? Not the, autophagy, not this thing, not this, pill, not this cream, this like derma roller thing. I'm not saying you can try all that stuff if you want to. The reason that I talk about this so much is because, again, I hate when people have false expectations. And so like, just understand if you're losing a significant amount of weight, loose skin happens, and no, you didn't do anything wrong, and that you lost it too fast, you lost it too slow, you didn't drink enough water, you didn't do this. No, it's not your fault. It just is what it is.
Your skin, it's just genetic, right? Yeah, how much of it is just...
A lot of it's genetic. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, how old were you when you lost the weight? How old were you? How long did you have the weight on you? One thing that people always, you lost it too fast. That's why you have it. It's just annoying.
Yes, losing weight too fast caused the skin damage.
Yeah, not the fact that I was
loss
big.
Of elasticity, yes.
Yeah, and so there's so many things that people will say, and a lot of them come down to kind of blaming the person for why you have loose skin, and then selling you a solution to get rid of it. The solution to get rid of it, if you really hate it, and again, if you want to get rid of your loose skin, by all means, I understand it can be very annoying, right? And it can cause pain, problems, rashes. There's a lot of things. Luckily, I haven't experienced any of that. But like, if you want to do it, there is surgery. It's very expensive and it's very painful, right? So I understand if you can't afford it. The reason I talk about loose skin, so I don't know if you know this, Liam, but I had a video that went viral. That's what made me be able to do this, right? So that was in 2014, I think. Okay. And so this video went viral where I was showing my loose skin. It was the first time I had ever done that, and I was pretty nervous. But again, I had been getting so many questions from people online asking about it, right? And this was when Instagram didn't have video, and so I had posted some pictures, but it doesn't really show it, right? So I filmed this video, and I just showed my loose skin, and that video went viral, which really genuinely, it did change my life. And so, it's something that I get asked about a lot, and it's still something that I have. I don't really struggle with it anymore. It's just become part of who I am. As far as like, do I want to get rid of it? I still don't really have any plans to. Again, it doesn't really affect me, but again, everyone is different. And, you might have it to where you're just like, I can't look in a mirror and it's like really affecting my mental health, then by all means, obviously go for it. Like, do what you need to do for yourself. But I like to talk about it because I don't want people to feel like their journey isn't over until they get the loose skin removal.
Right, I can see that.
Yeah, because I've had people say like, "Oh, you're almost." It's like you're almost good. You just need the one thing.
You're
and it's
almost
like, no,
fixed.
I'm fine.
Fixed,
like, you know, and I think a lot of that came down to like media when I was growing up, like the extreme makeover where they would lose all this weight and they get
before
the
we go, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I talked to my wife the other day. It's the crazy. I just like one day remembered the Swan. Do y'all remember the fucking Swan?
Yeah.
Rob, do you remember the Swan?
Dude, it's gnarly.
Looking
that one's
back on it, that's
gnarly.
the most fucking buck wild show.
It's crazy.
Anyone who hasn't seen it, they would take someone who's conventionally unattractive.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we're going to break your face 7 ways from Sunday and put it back together.
Liposuction. Any surgery you can think of. They would
rhinoplasty. It didn't matter. Like they'd be like, oh, your nose is ugly as shit. We're definitely going to fix that. And they would give them like all these different, surgeries and everything. And then they would just parade them out on stage. And I'm like, finally, you're beautiful. You're acceptable by society. And just like, I can't. Like at the time, I don't know, like I was younger. I don't know how old I was when that came out, but I was younger. It's like, oh yeah, 10, they look 11, pretty now.
Like that, yeah.
But I don't know.
Premier
for me, just looked
2004.
2004. Yep. Okay, so I was born in 91. So like I was 13 when this came out over. I was like, yeah, okay. But like looking back on it now, I'm like, that's just a wild show to be like,
that's
right now you're not
such an American reality TV.
It's such an American.
Dude, I remember they would always have, well, not always, but a lot of times they would have like this, like, oh yeah, there's this girl at work that I like. And then like, they like, oh, she doesn't like me. And then they'd like, cause they bring like everyone they knew to this reveal. Yeah. And then during the reveal, they'd be like filming her like, oh, does she like him now? And I'm like, when I think back on it, I'm like, that's just horrible, man. Like, cause even if she does like him now you just like, oh, you're just shallow. And it's like, and if you don't, it's like, well, you did it for no reason. It's just like, not good.
Not good. Lose no matter what.
Yeah, dude.
And I felt so, like, looking back, you feel so bad because, like, it's not like you just get a surgery and then you wake up the next day and, like, it's done.
Months.
Like, you have, like, just a ton of inflammation and just pain and everything. And they're just suffering through all of this. Mm-hmm. And they're like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy now that I will be accepted by society. Like, holy, it's just so awful. Yeah, and look up the Swan and ruin your day. Like, I don't know. It's still.
I'm almost positive I'm probably tonight going to watch a 3-hour YouTube video about this show now because I'm just like, I'm remembering. I'm like, I'm sure someone's made a very.
Now I'm going to be like, after when I'm editing this, I'll have to watch this part again, and I'll be like, oh crap, I'm going to watch the Swan while I'm sitting here.
I feel like I'm going to see a video from Rob about the Swan on TikTok soon.
I need to talk about this in a video or something because it's just the most fucking wild thing. And I don't, just one day I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing. Yeah. Like I just totally, it just escaped my memory completely until just one day I was like, you all remembered this. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up because now I'm 100% going to be watching a video about
worst
it tonight,
show, like just the fucking worst, the gutter, like the absolute gutterist, like the gutter fell into the gutter. That's that fucking show.
That would be the era I was watching Canada's Worst Handyman, Canada's Worst Driver, which is it was a show where we put bad handymen or bad drivers on, and
they got liposuction.
Yes, they got liposuction.
It's a nose job.
No, and it, like, unlike American game shows where it's like, you go on or you're trying to beat everybody and win money. There was no money to win. You were there just because you sucked at driving or being a handyman, and they were there to actually help you.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe they were just there to make
Canadian.
fun of you.
That's Canadian. That's what I grew up with, not the Swan.
John, do you have your computer right now? Do you have your computer like anywhere in front of you?
Yeah.
Can you look? We need to show him the show. We need to show Rob. We need to show him. Have him look up the show because we're just talking about shows. I need you to look up "Heil, Honey, I'm Home."
What?
Oh, God.
Can you just Google that for me real quick? I love just introducing people to Heil, Honey, I'm Home.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it ran for an episode. And before it got fucking canceled, because yes, it was about Hitler living next door to a Jewish family with
Neil McCall as Adolf is crazy to see.
Yes, he would come home and say, "Heil, honey, I'm home," and it was just about Hitler's life, living with Ava Braun, living next to a Jewish family. And I want to know the other episodes. They only aired one before they were like, "What the fuck? Who
Heil, honey, I'm
this?"
home. Hitler's
It's a British
sitcom
show, yeah.
with his Jew neighbors. Heil, honey, I'm home is a British sitcom written by Jeff Atkinson. Shout out to Jeff, I guess. That's crazy.
It's wild. And you just I need to just introduce that to people so that they know it existed. Not to you have to go watch it really, but I just think people need to know that was a thing.
Incredible.
I think we need to have a live viewing on the Patreon. We'll get John, we'll get Kevin in here.
We need to get people and just watch the only episode of Heil, Honey, I'm Home, because people sat around, came up with that idea, agreed on the idea, got actors, shot it, and produced it and put it on air.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, I think the best thing we can do right now is normalize Hitler. I think that's
we're already halfway there. Let's go.
I know. Have you seen Elon? I mean, he's already getting it started. We're good.
Gosh. There's no way else to end it but this. Don't be your worst and go look up The Swan and Heil, Honey, I'm Home.
And go look up Obesetobeast.
And check. Oh, and yes, give your pluggables to where people find you. Just
Obesetobeast on pretty much everything. Any social media platform, type that in. That should pop up.
Yes. It was great because I've said this a couple times. The three people that influenced me most when I started getting into fitness, one was John Meadows, which he's not with us anymore. We won't ever get to have him on the show. But there was Kevin Meyer, who's been on a couple times, and now we have you. So
well, thank you. No, I appreciate that, man, because I think what you're doing is awesome. So the fact that I was any part of that makes me really happy. And also, I know Kevin very well, and he's a great dude. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll get the two of you on one of our
dude, that would be fun.
Round tables.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Hey, wasn't that a great time listening to the podcast? You were I'm assuming you were just listening to in moderation. So if you go ahead and hit the 5-star button, is that a thing? The like button?
That's a thing.
Yeah. The like button
5
on YouTube.
stars.
If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, not the dislike button. That's a bad button. The
bad
like button. Bad
Don't
button.
touch.
Hit all the other buttons. The share. You can go check out
all those things.
Subscribe. Go check out our Patreon. Yeah. We do have a Patreon. It's free to join if you want, or you could give us some money. That'd be really cool, like $1 or $2. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have.
That's where you'll find all the news for this.
We're super appreciative. You can find all sorts of other stuff there. We do giveaways, I think, sometimes.
Sometimes.
All that good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, peace.